Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley Podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. Flags are dope. They fly in the sky and they advertise. A country or a company flying high, like the way I ride. First class for free, 'cause of corporate ties. I'm Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley Podcast.
And I'm Guy Pigden. And that was our friend, Hamish Gavin.
Hamish Gavin with his new song, New Flag. And it is about the current flag situation, or the recently resolved flag situation here in New Zealand, which is that our incompetent leader, John Key,
our fearless leader,
wanted to change the New Zealand flag despite it being a very unpopular concept. And most people were against the changing of the flag, not necessarily because we don't need to change or update the flag, but more because it was an expense that just wasn't really required at the moment. There's so many more things going on in the world to worry about, so we don't need to be worrying about changing the friggin' flag. It's like putting a plaster over a friggin' severed artery, you know. It's all just a bit silly. And then on top of that, all the alternative flags they gave us looked like shit. What the front runner that was potentially going to be our flag looked like a cross between the Weet-Bix wrapper, the Weet-Bix packaging, and the All Blacks logo. You know, and it was like, man, that is just the most tasteless, shitty flag ever. And that was what was going to happen. But it's just been announced as of last night that the old flag will stay. Democracy at work, baby. 1.2 million people voted to keep the old flag and 900,000 voted to change it. That is in itself a huge turnout of a country of 4 million people. That's actually quite a big turnout.
it's also surprisingly close.
Well, you reckon? I mean, that's 300,000 people more that voted against the new flag. That's quite a fair chunk of people.
It's a fair
that's
chunk.
That's not that close.
But that's
in a country of 4 million people.
But that's like a 40-60 split, right? Roughly?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised it wasn't less people that voted for it. So, you know, Hamish, you wasted a lot of time
making that song.
But you were right to make that song.
No, he was. So that song...
You should have released the song a little earlier than
the day before.
The day before after everyone had voted.
Yeah.
So you weren't really exposing the stupidity as much as reaffirming it.
Yeah.
You know, so you should have got onto that a bit quicker, Hamish.
Yeah, he knows that. He knows that. I'm sure he's glad you pointed that out. But you can go and see that song if you want. Anyway, he's put out a music video for it as well, and it's cool. It's so you can find it on YouTube. Search Hamish Gavin. You can find him on Facebook. Search Hamish Gavin, and basically right there you can watch it. Also, I will share it, and I have already shared it on the Guy and Harley podcast page, which is facebook.com/Guy and Harley. So yeah, that's the
flag situation.
That's the flag situation.
Well, the issue was that it's got the Union Jack on it, right?
Yeah, so the current New Zealand flag has the Union Jack on it.
Which is when we were part of the British sovereignty or whatever the hell it's called.
We still are. We're not a republic, you know. So we're still part of that whole colonial thing. But yeah, it's a hangover from the colonial times when the English conquered and subjugated all the other native cultures
and colonized.
Yeah,
I mean half of it was just a colony of them over here.
Yeah.
So why not have their flag? The other thing. And I think more the big issue for me is it does look too much like the Australian flag.
The current flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you as a reason to change a flag, it looks exactly the same as your bigger brother that's always overshadowing you.
Yeah.
That's a good enough reason. But it's, the issues were the cost involved, really. And we heard a rumor floated around that was going to cost $458 million.
Well, that was what NZ First announced. NZ First is a rival political party, I believe a not very reputable political party.
That's true.
Racist, if I'm not mistaken.
Very racist.
Yeah.
Don't want immigrants in the country.
So they said it could cost $458 million to change it on the passports. But of course, that's not how you'd do it. You'd just slowly phase it out. As every person got a new passport, it would have the new flag on it. You wouldn't recall everybody's passports. But there would still be many expenses, and it cost $26 million. Just for the referendum.
To have a vote on
to have a vote on it. Because of all the bloated bureaucracy involved, it cost $26 million to decide what the new flag was.
That's $20 million in postage fees, right? Something like that.
Most of
envelopes.
Most of it, I'm pretty sure, went on like finding the designs and stuff. But paying people who had to run it, So there was people on a salary whose job it was to, work for the last 10 months, on facilitating this new flag thing and this whole flag referendum.
The brain trust that came up with the shittiest alternative designs in the world.
Yeah, well, they were all shit. None of them were good. Personally, I vote Jolly Roger. I reckon Jolly Roger. Next time it comes up, Jolly Roger. It makes sense. We're like a little island, kind of like a boat. In the Pacific, we already like black on our uniforms and so on. So you've got black with a white emblem, all right?
All blacks,
and we're run by pirates.
Yep.
So I vote Jolly Roger.
And, this country started with a lot of raping and pillaging.
It did. So there you
Which
go.
is pirates love to do. So,
So it all fits.
It all works.
Yeah. So there you have it, people. Next time, vote Jolly Roger.
So, some people might be wondering, where have we been? Where has the Guy and Harley podcast been?
What the fuck is happening with this 2-week
hiatus?
Unannounced hiatus.
Indefinite hiatus.
And why were we not informed ahead of schedule so that we could, prepare ourselves mentally and prepare our iPods and so on and phones and all the rest of it with other content in order to keep us tied over while you guys are jaunting about with your fucking holiday?
Yeah.
That's what people are asking. So what is the situation, guy?
Well, the situation was, it was precarious times. It was a dicey situation. And I basically was given the heave-ho by my girlfriend. She said, I don't want to be with you anymore. And unfortunately, we live together. So, so when someone says that to you, there's a big upheaval. Because I couldn't live in this room by myself. This room is far too expensive for me to live in alone. It's $300 a week. At the moment I'm paying $150. If you'd pay $300, that's doubling your rent, and I'm not in a financially comfortable position as it stands anyway. So, there was, heartbreak, emotional trauma. And I was looking for a new flat, and I didn't feel like doing the podcast. I was too down. I was too depressed. I didn't have the vivacious energy that everyone's used to on this podcast. That they all know and love, and I didn't want to come and be a Debbie Downer on this thing. So, we were kind of like, oh, well, yeah, don't really want to do this. Well, what about it? I don't really want to do it. But now, for the moment, things are smoothed over. I patched up things with my girlfriend.
He's had a stay of execution.
It is a literal stay of execution. But like the proverbial sword of Damocles, it forever hangs over my head. It could drop at any moment. I don't know. It could drop. Could it drop tomorrow? Could drop the next day. Might not drop at all. Don't know. Just have to live in fear for the rest of my life. So that's what's happening with me.
That's the situation. Now, arguably, that could have been great content for the podcast.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But the problem, I guess, is when you're going through a breakup, I mean, realistically, it's already too early to be talking about it publicly.
For sure.
It can only cause you issues.
Yeah.
Realistically. But But, it was definitely too early, I guess, a week or two ago. And so would we sit here and ignore the situation? How do you do that?
Will you pretend that you're okay, that life is good?
Or, alternatively, what I would have liked to have seen, I guess, or what I would like to hear as a listener would be you just baring your soul. Just saying, so, hi, guys, look, you're my mates. You listeners, you 50, you've been with us this whole time. And look, I'll level with you. Here's the situation, But, I guess it just takes time. And also, to be really frank, I do think we needed a slight break from the podcast, just to keep things fresh again, because we've been so busy lately with all of our various antics that it's been hard to sort of sit down and really come up with some good content for the show. So it was nice to have a little 2-week break there and just freshen up a little.
Yeah. But for anyone wondering, I'm back with my girlfriend. I couldn't be happier.
So all of you bitches listening that
I'm sorry.
Want the D, sorry.
Sorry about it. So anyway, but I did, in that 2-week time, and also I was flat hunting, I was job hunting, I was kind of just stressing every day, because flat hunting in Auckland is not an easy task. Especially, if you want to get a flat like way out in, Crimesville, get mugged on your way to your car sort of thing, no probs, you get a flat there. If you want to be an hour out of town, no problem, flats are plenty. But if you want to live in the Mecca, the center of creativity, which is the sort of the Grey Lynn, Ponsonby, Kingsland sort of suburbs, that is, prime real estate. The houses around here, and these are shitty houses. These are terrible houses. These are abominations. 2 houses are going for $1.something million. And now apparently, there was like a property sort of down the road that was fully demolished. It was just the section. And the section went for over $1 million. So basically everyone wants to live here, and I think also that sort of the time of year it is, I think the new university semester's coming up, so you've got a lot of students, and basically everyone's looking. And of course I'm also not rich, so I can't just be shelling out a ridiculous sum of money for a flat. If I could, I would just stay here. So I was sort of looking, and I applied for maybe 40 flats, and I heard back from maybe 6 or 7, and I was like, obviously text, hey, I'm a filmmaker, I'm this sort of age, I'm a relaxed, respectful, tidy guy, blah,
all
blah,
lies.
blah.
All
lies. Completely untrue, but they don't know that. And I'm easygoing. I don't lose my temper a lot. I get along with everyone. So, and nothing. And I think there was a couple of issues. One, I'm 32. That was a big killer, because the last time I was looking for flats, I was 27, 28. And, everyone's looking for a flatmate in their 20s, right? But there's actually a lot of 20-year-olds and people in their 20s not looking for a flatmate in their 30s.
Yeah.
They're like preferably someone the same age as us, not a fucking old square.
Yeah, an old boring dude.
A fucking old fart who belongs in a fucking rest home.
Well, since we moved from next door, that party, we lived next door, and we had flatmates that were younger than us. We left, and it is now a party flat. Yeah. A party flat. As soon as we're gone, same people living there, they just got in a couple other young people to take our place. Party flat. Yeah. Yahooing all the time.
Yep. And
we were the party killers that flat.
We were the buzzkill.
We were the old buzzkills.
So, I think that, my age was definitely working. Ageism at work here, that definitely worked against me. The fact that I mentioned that I was a filmmaker, to some people that's cool. To some people, filmmaker equals unemployed, which is not far from the truth. So, they would be right to be a little bit wary.
Well, given that you're moving out of your previous flat because you couldn't afford it, they are on the right track.
But what I came to realize over this period was that, like, flat hunting is a lot like Tinder and dating. Because you sort of go in with high hopes. You talk to these people and you think you really had a great connection. You really got on and you really felt something like these could be the next flatties that you're going to live with. And they really liked you and they got into you. and they never call you back.
Then they swipe you left or right or whichever one it is.
You never hear from them again. That connection, that was just in your head. They really were put off by you.
Yeah.
Or they just thought a lot of other people were far cooler.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the flat hunting dating game, very similar. And, you know, you do feel used afterwards. Because you went there, you did the whole thing, the whole to-do, you know, you tried to look cool, you didn't wear your Star Wars t-shirt, you know, you tried to put your best foot forward, you tried to crack a few jokes, and then they're like, no, sorry, you're not good enough. You know, you're not really our thing.
Well, another way that it's quite like Tinder as well is that the pictures are never as good in real life as they are online.
That's true.
You know, they often have mold in their crevasses.
They're often shabby and out of shape.
They're often shabby and out of shape with misleading pictures. So yeah, I can see the parallel.
Yeah, so, you know, I've been spending two weeks of hell doing that. But of course, patch things up. It's all okay. I'm living here. And I couldn't be happier that I'm not having to move.
You mean, yeah, okay. Yeah, so, well, that's good. Look, what do we got next? I've got an audition. It is for a major US TV show.
And can we say what it is?
Well, we better not.
Okay, but
it is something that I've auditioned for before.
And we can say that it has dead in the title.
Well, you said it already, so I guess we can say that. But look, yes, it's so it's a big American TV show, and I've got an audition next week for a little bit part.
Yep.
But it is a bit part with the main character.
Yeah.
Alongside, you know, acting across from the main character. So if I did get it, it would be pretty epic for the old show reel.
It would be pretty epic. I would ask you to kind of accidentally bump into him and kind of rub up against him, and then I would rub up against you, having rubbed up against him, feeling his musk,
yeah,
and be in awe and sort of astoundment.
This actor is a cult 80s actor. Or he's an actor in a cult 80s film, and then he's gone on to do heaps of other stuff as well.
He's a cult actor, really.
Yeah. So that's next week, but it's American accent. Always a concern, given that I'm not a classically trained actor and can't really do an American accent. But it is only a few lines, so I should get away with it. But I always hate getting these auditions for accent roles. Hate it.
Yeah.
Really hate it. Never go in confident.
No.
Just feel like I look like a dick every time I'm putting on the accent. I feel like I'm just putting on a bad caricature of an accent, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, in the words of Michael Caine, he said, look, if you're doing an accent, then 50% of your acting is concentrating on your accent and not your acting. And I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's proof in the pudding. He never does a fucking accent.
Yeah.
He's just Michael Caine.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But a funny little side note is another friend of ours had an audition for the same TV show, and her role was prostitute.
Right.
She didn't even have a name. It was just prostitute.
Yeah. Was she in I Survived the Zombie Holocaust?
No, she was in
Older,
yeah.
Okay, all right. Interesting.
But yeah, you're not even auditioning for roles with names.
Yeah. Well, my role doesn't have a name.
Just prostitute.
My role is townsperson.
Right.
So it's not, I mean, it's probably worse.
But, you know, it could have been Shirley the prostitute. At least give him something.
Yeah. Well, last time we spoke on the podcast, I had actually had an audition for a feature film.
Yep.
It was a big deal for me. If I got it, I was going to be filming in Wellington, and it was auditioning for the lead role. I can now confirm that they have made a shortlist, and I was not short enough. I am not on the list.
Or you were too short.
Or I was too short, probably, realistically. Or I was too short. Too short for the shortlist. And so I did not get that role, sadly. But then I managed to wangle myself another audition for a supporting role in another feature film. Did the audition, went well. It was for a low budget feature film.
No pay.
No pay that I'm aware of. Probably percentage points would be the payment method, which is where I own a certain percent of the film and get a certain amount of the revenue much later. I found out I did not get that one either. And the reason why I know I didn't get that one is because they asked me if I wanted to be like a cop with no lines instead. If I could do that.
And you're like, no, I don't want to be a cop with no lines.
No, I'm not a glorified extra. I was the lead in I Survived a Zombie Holocaust and Ghost TV. Thank you very much.
What's funny is I got a bit of inside intel as well on because I spoke with the writer of the film that you auditioned for the main part of.
Right.
I saw him out drinking.
The one in Wellington.
Yeah. I saw him out drinking and I was like, hey, how's it going? And I said, I just read those pages with Harley Neville who auditioned for the role. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know who he is. And I was like, yeah, he was obviously a bit gutted that he missed out. And he's like, yeah, well, basically what he put it down to is he said that basically everyone that auditioned for that role did a really good job, like a really good audition. And they were surprised because, most of the time there'll be a clear front runner or a couple of clear front runners, but everyone kind of nailed this audition, which is quite unusual. And I said, look, be honest. You be level with me. Level with me here, Nick.
Not that that's his name, but yeah.
I said, just level with me. Is it the hair? Is it because he doesn't have hair and this character is based on you and you have hair? Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that it? Just tell me. Just be honest with me. Just level with me here.
Uh-huh.
No, he said it wasn't the hair.
All right, that's good. It's just your poor acting.
Yeah, it was just your substandard acting.
Right, sweet.
But, it did surprise me because...
So he saw my audition then?
Yeah, he must have saw your audition.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing is, sometimes you can really nail an audition and it doesn't matter. Not what they had in mind.
Yeah, it was a good audition.
And but it's weird because I did sometimes I see your forays into acting and I go, oh shit, he's got no chance. He has no chance with this one.
When I'm auditioning,
but other times I'm like, I think he's gonna and I'm right. Sometimes you just get shortlisted or something, but I'm often right on my hunches of when I think you're gonna get get to the next stage at least or get the role. And this one, I really thought that you were going to get to that next stage because you acted it opposite me, and I was impressed.
Right.
I was impressed by your acting.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty happy with how it was all going. The shortlist was quite short, which does make me feel better. The shortlist was only 6 people.
Yeah.
So that is quite a shortlist from however many people auditioned.
Yeah.
And I didn't make it. But, maybe if it was a top 10, I would have made it. That's what I like to think.
Yeah. Well, look, on the subject of rejection, I just found out yesterday that I have been turned down for the 4th year in a row. Mentorship.
Yeah.
Now, the Film Up mentorship is essentially...
So this is news, right? Because the other day, I think you were still waiting to hear.
I was still waiting to hear, and I just found out yesterday that I've been turned down.
Did it? Breaking news. Guy's been turned down.
Yeah, and so this is the 4th year I've applied to it. So I applied to it when I was making a feature
And what
film.
is it?
So basically the Film Up mentorship is where you get 20 hours over the course of a year to work with a mentor on your projects, like on the stuff that you're working with, and they will help you, So, it could be, for instance, who I put on my wish list was like Peter Jackson. So Peter Jackson sits down and he goes, I like what you've done here. Here's what I think you should try, and here's where I think you're going wrong. But this is, this is the strength of your script or your project, and, this is how you should proceed with it. And, it's, great. And you also attend these sort of group sessions, which is basically, you're all with all these other people, all these other mentees, all these other fucking mentors, and you're all brainstorming in a group. Ideas are coming thick and fast. It's a revelation. You wake up in the middle of the night with a light bulb over the top of your head because you're so inspired by all this creativity that's vibrating around the room, and that's basically what this thing is.
But instead you're sitting in your room and the only thing coming thick and fast is your cum.
And the only thing vibrating is the dildo in my ass. That's the only thing vibrating. And so, yeah, I missed out for the 4th year in a row. And, you know, like the first year, you know, I'd written a feature film. I had already shot it. The second year, I was in the post-production on it. Third year, still in post-production on it. But also had made a new film. And this year, my fucking film had come out. And I'd made another film. And I had a rough cut of that film. So I'd made 2 fucking feature films. And it wasn't enough to get some fucking mentorship. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, the competition is stiff. It's not a conspiracy. It's just that a lot of other people out there are doing shit too.
I'd love to believe that. But the fact of the matter is that when you see the people that are accepted for these mentorships, they're people that are doing a short film or something like that. And it's like, listen, man, cool. They're doing a short film. Great. That's wonderful. They may do a feature in the future. I've done a feature. A mentor can mentor my fucking feature. It's real simple. This would be really valuable. Anyway, didn't get it. And that's the end of it. And this is what annoyed me. I've basically received the same rejection like 4 years in a row. And basically it goes, hey, thanks. Your application was really compelling. You made the shortlist or twice. So in the 4 years, twice you've made the shortlist, but you didn't get it because the caliber of blah, blah, blah was really high. But try again next year. Guess what, motherfuckers? There is no next year. This is the end of the mentorship, right? The mentorship is over after this year. So why are you even writing that?
Well,
you should
it was
know
copy-paste.
Well, I know it was
They
copy-pasted, but that's insult to injury. I know. It was copy and pasted from last year.
Yeah.
I don't think they read my application. They literally just copied and pasted. And that's fine. But it's frustrating.
Yeah. Well, but are they going to replace it with something else? They almost certainly will, right?
I guess they will, but who cares? Because if I can't get it in 4 years and 2 feature films, I don't think I'm going to get it in 5 years with 3 feature films. So that's the end of the road for me. I will never be mentored by anyone, but it was nice. It was a nice dream to have for 4 years.
Well, speaking of mentors,
Yep.
Operation Stalk Dominic Hoey, aka Tourette's, that's been going well. That's the poet, the Auckland poet that I've been stalking for the last year or so.
He must think you're such a weirdo.
Yeah, I've attended all of his events, and I have attended like 3 of his live He does a podcast called How Not to Be an Asshole, and they've done 3 like live panel sort of recordings of the show. So they do it in front of a live audience in a bar, you know, and they're sitting up there and they've got 3 guests and, you know, these 2 guys and 3 guests, and I've attended all 3 of them. I've attended heaps of his poetry gigs.
Every time he looks out of the crowd, there you are.
There I am.
Like with a little goofy grin on your face, and like you hope you catch his eye, give him a little wave.
Yeah. And the thing is that he is not big time enough that he has like a back room or something like that he hangs out. You know, he hangs out in the crowd with everybody else. Yeah. So of course he has to talk to me, and I always walk out. And
every single time.
Hey dude, what's up, man? Cool gig, man. That was I like your poetry. That was cool.
And every single time I see you walking over, he's like, "Oh my God, not this motherfucker again. Oh, and God, I've got to talk to him because he pays for this shit.
Yeah, I go, all right, well, be nice. Oh, hey, Harley, how's it going?
But you also have to also accept at this stage of the stalking, right? At this stage of the stan that you've become, you have to understand that he legitimately does not like you, because there's no way that if he did feel any kind of affinity towards you, he would now not have sort of like exchanged details with you.
Oh, we've become Facebook friends.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like,
I click like on everything he posts.
You know, like, might have actually like invited you to something, or like, you know, maybe
watch my fucking movie. I gave him I Survived the Zombie Holocaust on DVD. I signed it and I got Guy to sign it, and I gave him and the other guy from the podcast, Louis Nux, I gave them the DVD, and they have not watched it. They haven't watched it. And I also sent him my
you've sunk like 60 hours into this guy. He has not given you 90 minutes
no
of his time.
No, not interested. I also recently sent him my poem Gravity, the new video. So a new video for my poem Gravity is out. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I sent that to him.
Yeah.
Message not seen. But, like, so obviously it popped up. You know, he sees there's a message there,
And
but he
he's
knows
like-
if he clicks on it, then it comes up as seen.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously he doesn't want that.
He doesn't want
So-
you to know
that he's seen
that
it.
he's even interested enough to glance at
Yeah.
a thing that you said to him.
And so he has not watched that. Not interested.
Which is also, I mean, to be honest, like, if someone...
He has watched my other shit that I've sent him.
Right.
To be fair, I have sent him other things,
Right.
and he's just sick of me sending him
And
shit
it's
all
just
the time.
he's just put off.
He's like,
He was-
motherfucker.
He was put off by the
Stop sending
first
me this crap.
lot of stuff, and now he's just like, I can't invest any more time.
So I did his course anyway. So he advertised online saying,
It gets crazier.
saying he was doing a creative writing course.
Yeah.
You know, and it was called Find Your Voice. You know, creative writing with Dominic Hoey, and it was like, how do you how do you just basically sort of a creative writing course, 4 nights over the 1 night a week, just a 4-week course, 4 nights, $100, pretty good rate. I thought that was pretty fair. And I signed up, and there was only 10 people in the class, and it was all part of my Operation Stalk Dominic Hoey thing. You know, it was like, well, you know, he can't escape me basically.
No.
He can't excuse himself to go to the bathroom if I'm in his class.
You're literally doing homework for him. Teacher's pet.
I have
put your hand up.
Oh, hey, no, well, I would put my hand up, but I'm just so shy in class, you know, because I'm just so nervous.
Looking for that A, that A that he circles on your piece of writing.
Yeah, I mean, all I want is his respect.
Well, I'd also point out he's not really qualified to do this course.
Oh, he's been writing for a long, long time, and he's got a novel.
I've been writing for a long time.
Yeah, well,
I'm not qualified.
Get off your fucking ass and do a course then. And so you know, he has done a bunch of stuff. And the course was really good. I actually learned a lot, and it was really good. Now, the point behind that was, just that he was my mentor. That I've been stalking him and that he's my mentor.
He was your reluctant mentor?
The course is finished
Very
now.
reluctant mentor.
The course is finished now, but this Tuesday is the open mic night at the Thirsty Dog, which I often go along to and do my poems. And he's going to be there this time. So this is my chance to perform in front of him, really blow his mind, you know?
Yeah, this is
Give
your
him
chance.
some good shit. Give him some
inspire
real
him.
good shit. Exactly. He'll be like, man, I underestimated this guy. I should go on tour with him. We should go on a tour. I should invite him on the next tour. He can open for me.
Well, if he watched your stuff, though, and was not a fan,
Yeah.
then I think he must really be not feeling your stuff.
Yeah.
Is your stuff similar to his stuff?
It's similar in the sense that his stuff is not overly, like, it doesn't use like overly flowery descriptive language. You know, it's telling a story that starts at the beginning and ends at the end, and it's kind of got a you know, there's some comedic sides to it, and it's kind of about like everyday-ish kind of stuff. So I do think it is kind of similar in content. You know, like a lot of poetry is very airy-fairy and arty-farty and open to interpretation, and I feel like his isn't, and neither is mine. In both cases, you're telling a story, or you've got a point that you're making. So yeah, I think it is kind of similar.
Well, you know, some people do feel threatened, you know?
Well, yeah, maybe that's it.
When a young kid
that's
comes
it.
along and starts using words that are a little bit out of your vocabulary, and you go, oh, damn, shit.
Damn,
I
better hold this kid down.
I better step on his throat before he suffocates my career.
Yeah, well, you know, there's only room for one, you know, tell it how it is poet in Auckland, and that's me, maybe. So he's holding me down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the situation there.
Cool.
Cool. So my poem is out now anyway. I have shared it on the Guy and Harley podcast page, but you can go and find it. It's called Gravity.
That was what ended the that's what ended the podcast was having 2 poems back to back.
What?
On the last, wasn't that the last one where we had your
we had Jefferson Bethke's poem, and then we had
your
my
response.
rebuttal.
I think that killed it.
We just had to take 2 weeks off. No, I got a message from I have to think who it was now. Somebody in the States that was like, yeah, I was listening to the podcast in the truck on the way to work with the apprentice who's like homeschooled and very, very religious.
Yeah.
And my poem came on. Yeah. He said he didn't like it.
No, well, I'm sure he didn't.
But yeah, so anyway, if you want to see the new video, so I released a video a year ago of a live performance of my poem Gravity where I'm standing on stage. Now there's a proper kind of music video style production of the same poem, and it's been released on YouTube and Facebook. So go along, search YouTube Gravity Pigville, or just add Harley Neville on Facebook, or go facebook.com/Guy and Harley and scroll down, or I'll share it again, and you'll see it. I'll actually upload it directly to the page at some point as well.
Yeah, now look, I would be the first to say not to watch this again if it was not very good. And what I mean by that is, we played it on the podcast, it's fucking everywhere, fuck off with this poem, right? Mm-hmm. But this video is so well made and so high quality, even if you've had to endure this poem many times, both live readings and whatever.
Podcast readings.
Yeah, you should go watch it again on YouTube, because in terms of production value, in fact, this is a little tidbit for you, for the film nerds out there. This is the first Pigville film, or Pigville production, shot in 4K. 4K being essentially pretty much, it's not quite, because now they've got 6K, but it's like super high resolution, basically. It's super high quality video. And this is the first, so the zombie film, not 4K. Older, not 4K. Any other thing we've done, not 4K. Harley's gay poetry video, 4K.
Gay, derogatory term.
4K. But it looks very good, looks very slick. So it's definitely just worth a watch, just for
those production values.
So yes, check that out.
Now it is time for our favorite segment, which is the troll hole. But in this case, it's actually more of the constructive criticism hole.
Right.
So I ended up having a long, I'll just read his initial opening salvo, but I ended up having a long and painful conversation with this guy on YouTube.
When aren't conversations long and painful on YouTube?
Well, it's true. So this guy, Brennan Callan, he says...
Brennan? Sounds familiar.
I feel like we did have a problem with a Brennan in the past, didn't we?
I feel like anyone who's got the name Brennan is an asshole.
Well, that might be true. Now, this guy might have given us grief in the past, or it might have been a different Brennan. But now that I think about it, that is funny.
Could be the same Brennan, man.
But no, this Brennan seems a lot smarter than the previous Brennan. I remember the previous Brennan is on the troll hole as being some sort of idiot.
This Brennan outwitted you.
Yeah. So... we get a comment this is on the Guy and Harley podcast, episode 57. Right, this is episode 59 that you're listening to now. Episode 57 on YouTube. He says, "The introduction is too long and boring. I do not see a need for all of that. Either you hook the audience within the first few seconds, or they will just click off the video immediately." Capitals. There is no point in making a 46-minute film if the first few minutes are going to chase away your audience within the first few moments. 46 minutes, that's probably the shortest podcast we ever did. I understand the occasional use of still photos, but that is rather 1990s.
That's funny.
You guys, for a more dynamic video, need to have higher production value. As podcasters, with speech marks around them. What do you call those marks?
Quotation
marks around them. As podcasters, both of you are constantly saying, Now, to be honest, I went back and listened.
Yeah.
He's got a point.
Sure.
If the audience already knows quotations, then we have no reason to listen to your persistent overuse of that phrase. I just cannot tolerate hearing someone constantly abusing my patience. Seriously, I have to turn off your video. You must edit out the hundreds of you-knows of your podcast. It is enough reason to unsubscribe right now. I do not mean any disrespect with these observations. Brennan, cinematographer.
Brennan, cinematographer?
His last name is cinematographer. So,
Well, you know, Brennan, we're not going to stop.
but I went back and listened,
Yep.
and I was like, yeah, shit. Every time we're going off the cuff, not doing anything prepared, which is 99% of this podcast, we both say, a lot. Now, I do think that I'm a little bit worse, but you definitely do it as well. And you've already done it this podcast, and
Sure.
I'm pretty sure I did it this podcast too.
Oh, you got to put something in there.
Well, we've got to add it-
R or a or
Well, we got to add it to the drinking game, the Guy and Harley podcast drinking game, where you drink every time you hear certain things. So every that's a sip of beer.
It's a funny, this guy Brennan, cinematographer. Do you just sign off when you talk to people like that? You go, so thanks a lot. I'll see you later. Yeah. Brennan, cinematographer. I'm out. Peace. Fuck you all.
Well, that might be what he does.
Just some constructive criticism. Brennan, cinematographer. I'll see you later. But it does make it a funny thing because there's a personal trainer at my gym. And I don't think...
Oh, you go to the gym. Oh, humble brag.
I don't think that this is his real name, but his name... his how actors, their names are often not the same. For instance, Michael Caine was originally Morris Micklewhite or something like that.
You're right.
So they have this cooler name, which is for acting. Tom Cruise wasn't always Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth, And anyway, so this PT at my gym is called Brandon Motion. Now, can you believe that Motion is his last name?
Nah.
I can't believe it either.
Yeah.
I really think he's given himself a professional training alias to make him seem more professional trainery.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be the same with agents. It's like Sharon Power,
Yeah.
for example. And she's not the first Power. I'm sure there's another Power agent as well. Someone or other whose last name is Power. And it's,
No one's last name is Power.
No one's last name is Power. So, yeah, it is a thing. It's a thing that people do. So there's no way his last name is Motion.
Brandon Motion. He is in good shape though. He has been in motion.
Good for him.
But I just always thought, I was like, that's taking it too far. That's taking it a step too far. As is signing off with Brennan, cinematographer.
Well,
I don't care if you're the fucking Queen of England, mate. You don't sign off with your vocation in life. I don't walk around saying, Guy, director.
Yeah.
That's not what I do when I sign off to emails on things.
Well, I replied rather snarkily, not particularly well thought out. It basically just said, well, you've got 14,000 views, so stop trying to tell me how to get views on fucking Facebook, on fucking YouTube, and then that, not quite as bluntly as that, but that is essentially the summation of my paragraph or two back to him. And then it went on, and it went on, and it went on, and so these massive essay-sized responses back and forth. And which resulted in him unsubscribing.
Yeah.
And he has been a subscriber for a year or two. So the lesson, I don't know, be nice to your subscribers. Like even when they give you advice. What was the lesson here?
Brennan, don't be an asshole. That's the lesson.
Well, the one thing where he really lost me, right? This is where, because I did think, I thought, oh, maybe I responded poorly. But the thing that really got me was that he had thumbed it down, and he didn't deny it. He thumbed down the video. So it's one thing to come along and give some constructive criticism. It's another thing to actually thumb it down, making it harder to find on YouTube and directly negatively affecting our hard work,
Homie, don't play that.
Exactly, it's not on, and he could have at any point, fixed that thumbs down and just thumbed it up instead, or just, if he just unclicked that and just left it at neutral, but he refused to throughout the whole thing. So Brennan, that's where you lost me. That's where you lost me, homie. So you just keep on cinematography.
Yeah, you just keep up with that cinematography.
Now I do have a brand new segment. It's called.
Did you look at any of his videos?
They were. I did click on his channel. It was nothing original. It was like nothing. It was like uploads of other things.
Because I'm just dreaming of a day, and it has never really happened, where essentially someone trolls us, right? And then we go on their channel and write a constructive troll of some of their videos.
Yeah.
But the problem is all these arseholes
always
never
post
have,
anonymous.
Well, and they also never have any, like if they do have a channel, they never have any content. They're not
Well, it's
content
because-
creators.
No, exactly.
They're
It's-
content haters.
They are. Exactly. That's exactly what they are. Coin that. And so they're not going to, when you've made content, you suddenly understand that it's actually quite difficult. And you realize that just having something uploaded is kind of an achievement in itself. Now, I very, very rarely thumb things down unless they're truly appalling.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's always the way. These people who've never uploaded anything decent, they're always the first to start thumbing down and commenting fucking shit.
I'll also say another thing, Brennan, is that most podcasts that you listen to are edited by someone. So someone does come along and edit out all the you-knows, right? And the ahs and the ums. They get rid of all that stuff, and you listen to this clean, crisp podcast and you think that everyone's like that. No, everyone's not like that. Everyone's like us, except they've got an editor to cut that shit out. We don't have an editor because we're just starting, and we will not get to have an editor if you thumb down our shit. You feel me?
So thank you for unsubscribing.
Brennan.
You ungrateful son of a bitch.
You ungrateful cinematographer? Shit.
So, look, but enough of this negativity.
Okay.
People do post positive things on our videos too, okay? So I'd like to start a new segment. It's called The Blowhole.
The blowhole.
Which is where people say positive things about us. Got a couple here. Genrick Isaiah Quintana Credo.
Good name.
Good name. Says... This is a comment on a meme that I created of myself standing in the supermarket, holding a bottle of shampoo and a bottle of body wash, and it says, "It was always a tough decision for Harley: body wash or shampoo." He says, "Besides the shoulder hair, he cute as fuck. He could get it." Hashtag daddy as fuck. That's good. I appreciate that. Genrick.
I think that's got to be the name of this.
Daddy as fuck?
Hashtag daddy as fuck. Yeah.
Daddy as fuck. That should be the other one. And then this is a rarity. This is from a woman.
Right.
Posting something positive about me online, which is certainly almost unheard of.
Yeah.
She commented on YouTube on my poem, on the live version of the Gravity poem, "Marry me, have my babies." This is good.
Follow-up question. Did you click on... Was that on a YouTube?
That's YouTube, yes.
Did you click on her profile?
I assume I would have.
Any
but
pics, bro?
I don't remember. I should actually... I'll go back and do that and check out, see if she's got any vids.
Yeah.
She might be a banging babe. Yeah. So yeah, that was the troll hole followed by the blowhole.
Well, look, we're talking about feedback. I've got some feedback. I got some fan feedback right here.
Okay.
Now, Naomi, good friend of mine, long-time listener from merry old England. She listens every week, and
Apart from last week and the week before.
Well, we weren't on, but she's a big fan, and she's a firm supporter of Pigville as well. She's got the Zombie Holocaust DVD. And she's all around just a lovely lady.
If you guys would like the Zombie Holocaust DVD, get in touch with me on Facebook, facebook.com/Pigville. That's my personal account. Otherwise, go facebook.com/Guy and Harley, or just search Pigville Productions or search Harley Neville. Get in touch, and we will sign you a copy and post it to you.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
Normally, if you're in New Zealand, $25, signed copy, posted, including postage. So get at me, dogs. Get at me.
If you're not in New Zealand,
we can still negotiate something.
But you may not be able to play it on your DVD player. And you also may be asking why the fuck it's not a Blu-ray.
Don't tell them that. Don't mention that.
You'll be asking many questions. None of them will be good. But we can still send you a signed copy.
Yeah. It'll work in Australia.
Yeah. And look, it could be worth a lot of money one day. You just never know.
You just never know, right? It's not worth a lot of money now.
It's not worth the postage you'll pay now.
No, so anyway, guys, buy those, please.
So anyway, this is from Naomi. And notes for your podcast, before I forget. Advice. Harley, watch more movies. You talk like you hate films, yet you are an actor trying to be in them. What the floop? You can't sit there on your reasonably high horse criticizing films, particularly anything Marvel, when you don't even try to watch, let alone enjoy them. Give it a go. Just watch one a week. Call it research. Ironically, I can totally see you in a Marvel film, satire, tongue-in-cheek film. In fact, I actually think you would be great in a lot of film roles you seem to hate. Ha! Mike and I were only recently likening you to Seth Rogen. Acting abilities, not appearance.
Thank God. Although, still kind of insulting.
Seth Rogen's a good actor.
Nah, he's cool. He's cool.
Thought. Well, we'll just quickly
So
say.
we'll percolate on that now, will we? And then you move on to that next bit, or?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to quickly say to that, Naomi, is that I have been having this argument with Harley for approximately 15 years or something. Maybe not 15 years, but whenever we started, so since we were like sort of 18, I've been having this argument with him that he doesn't watch enough movies, that he's too narrow with his movie selection, and there was a period of time where he wasn't watching any movies. Now, I was worried even to bring this up in case it would set him off not watching movies again, because to be in his defense, is a very moderate, flimsy, flaccid defense that I will give, he has started watching slightly more movies. Like, not heaps, not all the ones you'd expect, not the important ones that get singled out, but he just occasionally watches more movies than he did.
Yeah, well, look, to that I would say a few things. One, this podcast can't be two guys that know all about movies talking about movies. I'm the layman, okay? So that's the role I play.
Yeah.
It's tick and tack, you know what I'm saying? It's yin and yang, yin and yang. And
It's
so
the yin-yang twins.
I'm the guy here who asks all the questions like, "Oh, what's that? I've never heard of that movie. What? Oh, that sounds shit." That's my role, That's what I do.
Yeah.
So I can't.
Some would argue that intelligent discussion about these films, because you'd also seen them, could yield greater results.
Well, that's true, but this is a podcast. This is a filmmaking podcast.
Yeah, this is a podcast about our lives.
Exactly. So you cover the filmmaking, I'll cover the lives. And so look, I also Marvel films. Look, I've seen enough Marvel films to last a lifetime. They're all terrible. I'm yet to see a good one. And
Deadpool.
I haven't seen it. But I don't have time in my life for that kind of bullshit. Like, I'm not interested in watching something so farcical. It's fine, but it's not for me. I want to watch films that make me think. Deadpool ain't gonna make me think. Batman vs Superman ain't gonna make me think. I like films that attach to me on a deeper level. That's what I want. I want to be thinking about it after I go to bed. And that's just not going to happen with these Marvel films. And also, just in my defense,
Batman vs Superman's DC, just for the record.
Well, lump them all together. They're all about men in undies, fucking flying about. Now, I did watch a film recently. Mm-hmm. I watched Everest.
Right.
It was good. It was pretty good. I wasn't in love. I'm a hard audience member to please. Films need to be very, very good for me to truly enjoy them. I watched Everest. It was pretty good. I went out of my way. I watched a film, but the payoff wasn't huge. The payoff wasn't like, wow, I'm not going to get that. I don't need that hour and a half back. That hour and a half's gone. I watched someone's creation about Everest, and it was all right. But I've been burnt too many times by shit films. My time is more valuable.
Yeah, but I will say, you gotta get in amongst it, because that's the thing is, like, she makes a good point. You would be a great Marvel sidekick character. But, to do that, you need to understand the formula of the Marvel sidekick so you can prepare for it when that audition comes your way. And, you could definitely, I do feel that you are compromising your acting by not studying some of these great films and the actors within them.
But I do still watch things,
Oh, yeah, you still watch
I just don't watch a lot of film, feature films.
Yeah.
But, there are still things that I watch. I'm eagerly anticipating Game of Thrones coming soon.
Yep. Which is, that's fair enough. But, got to get into a few more movies. I'm with her on this one. Thought. Be nice to have a regular podcast slot for film reviews, Pigville reviews. No spoilers, preferably, but be cool to hear your opinions on a movie, series, or something. Much like The Talking Dead, which is they kind of recap The Walking Dead after an episode of The Walking Dead.
I am familiar with The Talking Dead.
All right. Although for this to work, it would mean Harley would have to actually watch them. Might be an issue.
Well,
it might be Naomi an issue.
There's two issues. Okay, firstly, I still say that I don't need to watch it if Guy watches it, because Guy can watch it and I'm playing the part of the audience, the listener. He's given the review and I'm playing the listener, and I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe I should go see it, or oh yeah, that does sound shit, or oh yeah, what about this? And I've got some questions from the perspective of a person who hasn't seen it, which is obviously the people that are interested in reviews about films, the people that haven't watched it. So that's my role. That's what I'm playing. Secondly, that is far too much prep for us to both watch a film and then have to write reviews for it.
We don't have to write a review. You just have to talk about them.
For it to be decent, you've got to jot something down.
You just got to.
I just gave a review of Everest. Yeah. I just gave a Pigville review of Everest.
Yeah.
Oh, it was pretty good. Not that good. I didn't love it. It took an hour and a half of my life.
Well, on that note, I've got some reviews. Thank God someone here has been watching some films. Batman vs Superman. You just said before. You're not going to get anything from that.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, there was some deeper philosophical questions about the nature of an all-powerful human being that was actually quite rich.
Okay, but as someone who hasn't seen it, two things that I'm going to state right away. One, Batman uses kryptonite against Superman. Two, at the end, they're buddies. And I haven't seen it. Now, this is just, there's two obvious statements that I reckon you can make about that film that are almost certainly correct.
True, but Harley, we all die. Doesn't matter. It's the journey, right? So yes, of course, probably they become buddies at the end.
Yes, of course. They have to use kryptonite against Superman because that's literally his only weakness.
That's what everyone uses against Superman. Because he is the most poorly
written character in the history of characters. He's got one weakness. It's the worst. It's honestly I am so surprised that he became such a successful character because it's so two-dimensional. It's like, okay, so what's this episode going to be about? What's this comic going to be about? What's this movie going to be about? Well, I'll tell you what it's going to be about. Every fucking time it's gonna be about kryptonite, which is supposedly this rare material from fucking Krypton, and yet every motherfucker's got it because they need it, because Superman can only be affected by it.
Well, to be fair, he can go up against a superhuman being as powerful as him.
Yeah, well, and can that kill him?
Yeah.
Without kryptonite?
Yeah. But the thing is, Superman, it seems, is very difficult to kill because they killed him one time and then he came back alive.
Yeah.
And they made a whole comic about killing him, and he came back alive sometime later. So
did they just rejig him, or did they just kind of reinvent him and he came back alive, or did they literally write into the comic and then he got a kryptonite boner and became alive again?
Basically, I think what happened is basically a bunch of imposters came in, and some of them were robots, like Superman robots and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
One of them was maybe a clone from, a bit of him. And then...
Well, how did they get a bit of him? You can't even cut his hair.
Well, but as they... there is ways...
Must have been semen. Must have been a load. Must have been a load that Superman blew one time. That's the only way you could get some DNA
I don't know.
from him.
Yeah, possibly.
That must be it. That's got to be it.
Super jizz.
Yeah.
They got a super jizz and they made a clone of him. It's not too far away from what we're doing in real life.
Yeah.
But anyway, but I think ultimately he did come back alive just because basically he's connected to the sun. So as long as the sun sort of exists, he exists.
He's connected to our alien sun, millions of thousands of light years away from Krypton. He's
the sun is the source of his power. So, if it's a sunny day, he's feeling chipper.
Yeah.
If it's cloudy, he's feeling a bit down in the dumps.
He's solar powered.
He basically suffers from seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
Superman's weakness is seasonal affective disorder.
Right. Yeah.
So he actually obviously wouldn't do well in England.
He wouldn't do well in Wellington either.
But anyway, I watched Batman vs Superman. I thought it was pretty good. I did have a couple of notes on this. Is completely spoiler free.
Completely spoiler free. Hey, don't spoil it. There's kryptonite that hurts Superman, and they're in their mates.
Like I said, there's a lot more to it than that, and I would recommend for any fan of either Batman or Superman, well worth your time.
I'd recommend reading a book personally if you're a fan of Batman or Superman.
I definitely think it was pretty good. Ben Affleck was very good as Batman. Really nailed Batman, and the Batman suit was the best Batman suit so far. Like, it was cool. He looked big and intimidating, like Batman. Whereas I thought Christian Bale's bat suits looked kind of, I don't know, shit. They kind of didn't really look like Batman. They were kind of all armory and like, almost like, I don't know, someone wearing like a hockey pads and all that stuff, and they're all been built up in a practical, smart way, but that detracted from Batman's mystique. So this new bat suit was very cool, but I did notice a couple things. So one, Ben Affleck has a bat mole, right? He has a mole which is visible on his face when he's wearing the bat suit, right? Which of course is the same mole as Bruce Wayne, which really kind of gives away the fact that like that mole looks like Bruce Wayne's mole. It's even in exactly the same place. And I really feel like as Batman, you just put a little bit of makeup on the mole before you go out. And why I say this as well is because, and I don't think it's really been talked about, but it needs to be talked about, is every single time that Batman goes out, he puts on a heavy amount of eyeshadow, right? Because whenever you see a Batman, right, his eyes are completely black, which basically means that before he's put on his bat suit, he's painted his eyes like a raccoon, right? Which looks ridiculous and stupid until he puts on the mask. Would take a considerable amount of time to make sure you get all the bits. But,
and to get off, man. Have you ever worn makeup like that before? It takes ages to get it off. It's tricky. So basically, he's walking around wearing bat eyeliner all the time, and they're like, why is Bruce Wayne's lashes so lush? Yeah.
But I always thought it was funny that, think about how many crimes have sort of taken place and people been murdered and killed while he's putting on bat shadow. Quite a lot. Quite a lot. Also, if you'll remember, Christian Bale's Batman had his Batman voice, which he just put on when he was Batman. Sounded like he had a horrible cold. Where is he? That was his Batman, and at certain points, yes, it was comical. Did it make sense for him to do that? Absolutely, because if he had the same Bruce Wayne voice again, they go, look, the mole, the voice, I'm putting two to two together here, Bruce. So, it made sense for him to change his voice, but the fact that he changed it to this guy, it was just a bit too much, right? Now, they worked around this in the new Batman vs Superman because he has like a voice modulator which is under, like just beneath his bat cowl, right? And so it kind of changes his voice and makes it deeper and more badass, right? And he doesn't have to put on a voice. He just speaks and the modulator does it for him. And right at the beginning, Alfred tests it and goes, sounding pretty good, Mr. Wayne. And then they put it in and I was like, that's a good way to do that. That was good. I like that.
That is definitely, they've learned a lesson
That's smart.
from those previous ones.
Yeah, he didn't have to put on the bat voice and
the
it worked.
internet parodies that it spawned.
Yeah.
The internet fucking YouTube memes that it spawned, that voice, the skits that came from it, some of which were very hilarious.
And that like Christian Bale's just walking along minding his own business and people are going past him going, I'm Batman! I'm Batman! I'm Batman! I'm Batman! I'm Batman! And he'll have to live with that for the rest of his life. So thank God that they figured it out. So there's improvements. There's been some improvements. Although you could certainly make the argument that those films are still better than Batman vs Superman. Why? Because Superman is in Batman vs Superman. And he is not great as a character. And to be honest, the guy that plays him is not great either. Although he looks good. He's a handsome man, but he doesn't really have the charisma to quite pull it off. So that's my review of Batman vs. Superman. Thank you very much, Naomi. You did actually have another question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, what's next for Pigville? You've done horror, comedy, romance, perhaps next to drama, a movie based on true events, a silent movie.
Well, we'll do a silent podcast. We just did 2 silent podcasts.
Did you hear those? Did you tune in? Well, look, I mean, to be honest, I would say that what Older is a drama to me. I mean, it is a romance, but I would say it was a drama. Would you say it was a drama?
Yeah, I'd say it's a drama romance. Do you want that beer or this Stone's original green ginger wine?
I'd probably have the beer if I had to
get into it. Now, yeah, I would say that Older was a drama.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that...
Check that off the list.
I would say that I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, while it fits under the umbrella of horror, I would ultimately call it a comedy.
Yep.
I don't really think it's a scary film.
No.
It's got a couple of scares in it, but it's not. It's definitely, for me, it's more of a comedy.
It's scary how much money we haven't made on it.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other issue.
That's a horror. That's the horror part of it.
So next up, I mean, I know. Do you want to answer this or?
Well, look, I mean, I think, to be honest, what I'd love to do, if I could, is kind of have a go at most genres, in my career. What?
Pornography.
Yep, throw a bit of that in there for sure. But basically, just have if you can find a compelling story that excites you. And I think that some things are obviously going to be easier than others. I think comedy comes very naturally to us. But then that becomes the challenge of like, well, okay, why not try the opposite of that? And can you do it well as you do comedy? And that's an interesting question.
Well, what's the opposite? Drama?
Yeah.
So we did that, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's got funny bits in it.
Yeah.
So we're let off the hook by the funny bits.
But I would say overall, I mean, it's got a couple of funny bits in it, but no more than your average kind of drama or like, yeah, it's not. I mean, it's certainly not a rom-com, is it? It's not a rom-com. It's a drama with a couple of funny bits in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which any drama will have a couple of funny bits in it because you need to care about the characters.
True. So, I think, what we've been talking about recently, and we have mentioned it maybe on the podcast, is we're looking...
Of course we have. Blood Throne.
Blood Throne.
Blood Throne.
Throne of Blood.
Blood Throne.
Which is, this remake of Macbeth that we're thinking about doing.
I say a contemporary retelling of Macbeth set in New Zealand gang culture.
That's good.
That's what I say.
That's
when people ask me.
That's it. I would also say a mixture between Scarface and The Grudge. That's my other tagline for it.
Grudge face.
Grudge face. So
maybe we should call it that.
Yeah, and that is going to be basically, hopefully, scary and dramatic, but you would define it most
horror
as a horror. And, I would love to do just a straight horror. And I'd also love to do a film where there's just not really a joke in the whole thing. There's just not a joke. That's it. There's no jokes. It's just not funny at all. There's not a chance for you to have a chuckle, just because of the challenge of that, and that's interesting. So that's definitely on the cards. And we have also, but going back the other way, have also sort of chatted about exploring kind of the independent pro wrestling scene. Of course, I'm a big fan of professional wrestling. Harley is not. But I am, and I'd love to sort of talk about the independent pro wrestling, which is not what you see on the screen, which is the WWE, which is like the top. It's the people kind of wrestling in high school gyms to 50 people and kind of putting their bodies on the line, dreaming of one day making it to the WWE, and kind of a sort of a rocky story surrounding that, and that's another one that I'm sort of tossing around, which would probably would definitely have some jokes in it.
Well, it'd be a straight comedy, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know. I guess, yeah. See, to me, that would be like, I guess, a feel-good sports movie, and what you would probably say, but definitely, a funnier one.
Yeah.
But, I
think there's a lot of mileage to be made from the idea of New Zealand aspiring wrestlers trying to make it in the underground wrestling scene in New Zealand with the dream of one day joining the WWE.
Yeah.
That is quite a cool concept that you could go a lot of places with it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think also professional wrestling, like, there's a lot of people that don't like professional wrestling, but I think that whether you like it or not, the sort of the inner workings of professional wrestling and how matches and stuff are actually put together and what goes on behind the scenes is actually very interesting, because it's this whole weird world of kind of creating these, theatrical matches that sort of that everyone kind of pretends is real but knows isn't real. It's a very strange thing. So I certainly thinking of exploring that before I get too old to
play that role,
to play a wrestler.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be like the wrestler. That's a different story. That's like someone who was big and is now washed up. And this is someone who may never be big ever. But, we all have a dream. We're all fighting for something. And, what are you doing in the minor leagues? It's kind of an interesting thing.
So there's the answer to that.
And one more question from Naomi. Guy, I had the pleasure of reading many of your scripts over the years, and they tend to read so beautifully. Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Have you ever thought about writing a collection of short stories? I know I and many others would love it if you did. Well, I have thought about doing some writing of sort of stuff that's not scripts, but I've got problems just writing scripts.
It's the backlog.
It's the backlog. So it is something that, like, it's...
What we need to do is we need you to go full-time pro, where your job is just to sit around writing stuff. And so, you can work on your scripts, but 2 days a week you can work on your short film or your short stories or whatever. And then basically you're working full-time on your writing and editing and getting shit done. That's what we really, really need. So we need a sponsor. A benevolent net denizen who is willing to just part with some cash. Now, this is related. We have got a new sponsor, a new patron on Patreon. Now, so we're getting $1 per video from Jeremy Howson.
Thank you, Jeremy.
That is I've charged him for Gravity, the new music video that'll come out at the end of the month.
And he's about to part with another $1 soon enough.
Yeah, he is actually, because we do have a new skit coming out very, very, very soon.
Probably by next week.
Now, I'm just trying to... Okay, so now we got another sponsor. Now, this one is for $5 per video.
Whoa. This is big.
This is big.
This is big time.
This is big. Now, Patreon take a cut, so that it means that with Jeremy's one and... now, this new sponsor is Nick. Now, he has asked us questions before, and his last name is a bit tough to say. Nick Sizzlardi. Nick Sizzlardi.
Can you tell us how to say your name, Nick? We can correct Harley.
Yeah,
the next one.
Just holler at us, bro. Just give us
phonetically.
Send us some sort of phonetic. Yeah, that'll work. Just write it out phonetically for us. Anyway, he's given us $5, and Jeremy's given us $1, and between the two of them, after Patreon take their cut, that's $5 per video round.
Booyah!
So we're getting $5 per video now.
I love it.
Now, if you guys out there want to help us, please, for the love of God, go to patreon.com and search Pigville on there. You'll find us. Otherwise, go to the Guy and Harley page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and just get in touch there. And if you want to give us $1 per video we put out, well, that really actually is a big help to us. And it's not just a help, it's also very encouraging. Just this idea that, oh shit, we're going to get $5 per video. Okay, well, that's awesome, because it's also going to earn money on YouTube. So each video might end up making X amount of dollars, and well, that actually makes it a lot better for us. So please go there, give us $1, and eventually, if we get enough dollars coming in, then we can put Guy on the full pro diet, and he can just write full time and write these short films that you want to, short stories that you want to hear and read, Naomi.
I did write a short story for my girlfriend a little while ago, and I did enjoy that, although I found it very difficult. But it did make me think, hey, maybe I could do a little bit more of this. And there has also been some consideration of releasing that story online, and chucking it on Amazon or something for $1 or 50 cents or something. So that's a possibility as well. You get to see my love letters, fictional love letters. So I'm sure everyone wants to read those.
Cool. So I applied. So we've got so much to catch up on. It's hour 13 of the podcast now. So much to catch up on. I applied to be on Survivor.
Yep.
Survivor NZ is coming. So this is not Treasure Island or Celebrity Treasure Island, which was sort of the New Zealand cheap knockoff of Survivor.
This is a legit official knockoff of Survivor.
Survivor knockoff. Exactly.
Official New Zealand knockoff of Survivor.
So they are making, TVNZ are making the official New Zealand knockoff of Survivor.
Only 20 years too late.
20 years too late. Literally, I think
it's been 15 years or something, hasn't it?
I think it could have been 16 years old now.
I feel like when it first started, I was certainly living at home and going to school, and I was watching it with
rushing home to whack it to those chicks in bikinis
in my lounge with my parents,
with your parents when they were in the kitchen cooking dinner.
Yeah, I was
only
watching,
takes 30 seconds anyway.
Waiting for the ads, suffering through advertisements like a fucking commoner. But that must have been when I was 16, 17, so it's been going a while. So yeah, they're only 20 years late to the dance.
Yeah, well, so I have put in an application and application video to be on Survivor. I don't really have particularly high hopes because my video was a real rush job. I slapped it together one evening, one take wonder on the webcam, and then just cut it together kind of thing. And
I heard
stole one of your jokes.
Of course.
One of your jokes, which I can't even remember what it was from now, but there was a time where it jump cuts to you and you're topless and you go,
yeah.
What was that from again?
Yeah. I think it's something like, I can't remember, but I'm talking to camera. Fuck, that's from a long time ago. That's from like
high school
back in London, I think.
Right.
In fact, it was for my application for a presenter role on some London, and it's like, I'm in great shape, and then it cuts to me with the top off, and I go, and tense with my top off, revealing that I'm not in great shape.
Yeah.
In fact, quite the opposite.
I stole that verbatim.
And that's where the comedy is derived from. And I did hear you in your room multiple times going, and I was like, either he's doing a video or he's masturbating hard right now.
Or he's taking a massive shit in his room.
I'm not sure which it is, and I'm not going to go up there to find out.
Yeah, well, I stole that from you entirely, and cut it together with a couple other gags and sent it off, and it was all right. It was not horrible, but it was not amazing. So I kind of hope I get an interview at least, because I would love to be on Survivor NZ. I honestly would. It's on my to-do list to be on a bucket list. It's on my bucket list to be on a reality show, and I do think if I was going to be on any reality show, Survivor would be the one I would choose, because that is by far the best reality show in existence. Of all the reality shows I've watched, that's the only one I actually enjoy.
Well, I think that your beard will certainly help.
Yeah.
You've got a sort of a caveman beard going on at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that might help.
Jolly old Saint Nick.
Yeah. It'd be great as well, just for the general raising of the profile. Oh, it's not just Harley; it's Harley from Survivor. And then they look me up, you find my Twitter or whatever.
Especially if you
I'm
do
sharing poems and shit.
Some funny shenanigans on the show, which makes you kind of memorable, and they're like, "Oh, remember fucking that idiot Harley?
Yeah,
oh,
remember that dipshit?
What is he doing?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I like to think I would do those things. So yeah, wish me luck with that one.
Good luck.
Another thing I've been going on with is, you might recall that I had applied to be a wedding celebrant for the Pastafarians. Yep. So I've already got a Pastafarian. Pastafarianism is a religion that essentially says, you can wear a colander on your head. It's a religion that uses the laws already in place by mainstream religions such as Catholicism and so on to get rights for people of this particular religion. So, you get to wear a special hat when you're a Catholic. Well, you get to wear a special hat in your driver's license when you're a Pastafarian, and that special hat is a colander because it's all about pasta. So I applied to be a wedding celebrant because New Zealand's one of the first countries in the world to allow Pastafarians to become wedding celebrants. And I applied, and I thought I was going... And there's big publicity to be had, I think, from getting the very first Pastafarian wedding in the world, which hasn't happened yet, but I think that when it happens, it will get a lot of publicity. Now, there's a woman ahead of me who has already become a celebrant, but she is the self-appointed chief officer or whatever of the Pastafarian church. Now, she kind of founded it in New Zealand, so she has appointed herself the chief. And so as a result, she became the celebrant because the Department of Internal Affairs needed the signature of the chief person from this church. And she's that person, so she signed it, so she's in. Now I'm trying to get in there and beat her to it. Essentially, I want to do the first wedding. Now she had a wedding lined up and it fell through, and so I'm just grabbing my wee message here. So she it fell through. Her one fell through. Now I've got one lined up for next month. So I sent away my application to the Department of Internal Affairs. It was really a drama. There was like 14 signatures required. I had to go to a justice of the peace and have things witnessed legally.
An ordained pastafara. Little joke there.
Is it? And I don't get it, but all right.
An ordained minister to
Yes.
sign off your thing, but there's no such thing.
No.
Because, anyway, moving on.
So this was I had to go to the justice of the peace. There was all this stuff. It's the Department of Internal Affairs, so they're not fucking around. It's not some joke place. It's the
They're
Department
not
of
fucking around with guys with soup strainers on their heads.
Exactly. And so anyway, I sent away my application and everything was in order and all was well, except it got rejected. And the reason why it got rejected was because the chief office bearer from the Pastafarian church did not endorse me. So I sent them a message saying, hey, WTH, like, what's the story here? Why, what's going on? And I said, how do I become a minister? How do I get your signature to say that I'm okay to be the self-appointed fucking person saying that I can't be a celebrant in the Pastafarian church? Ridiculous. Don't say anything. It's a real church. It's a real church. So anyway, I sent them a message saying, hey, so what's the story? How do I get your approval? Here's what I got. This is the shit I need to do. I've already done the Department of Internal Affairs stuff. This is what I need to do. A ministeroni, which is the minister of the church, is sanctioned by the church and authorised by the Department of Internal Affairs to perform legally recognised church weddings in New Zealand. Because this is a serious, important community service, there is a long, arduous process involved. First, the applicant has to apply to the church steering committee with a detailed account of their philosophical beliefs. Brackets, detailing their knowledge of Kiwi Pastafarianism. No other jurisdiction is acceptable. A detailed account of their publicly verifiable accomplishments and an essay, a fucking essay, on why they want to be a ministeroni. The steering committee meets irregularly, not regularly, irregularly, and reviews these applications. Acceptable candidates are then interviewed several times, including a knowledge test, which is what I just fucking did in the application, of Pastafarian principles and ethics, and asked to do a role play of advising a couple on their ceremony and performing the role play wedding ceremony. Successful applicants then have to do the Department of Internal Affairs bullshit. So for me to get all I need is a signature saying, yes, we're the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and yes, we approve of Harley being a celebrant.
But to get that...
And I've done the hard bit, which is the Department of Internal Affairs, which is dealing with the government, which is justice of the peace, which is criminal checks, all that stuff.
Which is a real thing.
Which is a real thing. And now I've got these cunts telling me I have to write a fucking essay about how I can... it's fucking ridiculous. That's a lot of work. Now, I've got a wedding lined up for April 16th. Now, it's looking increasingly unlikely that all of this is going to get done in time for the wedding, which is, of course, what she wants, because she wants to do the first wedding. So it's the man. I'm being held back. I've been held down by the Pastafarian woman man.
Well, it's a crazy story, because basically this church that is not a church, which basically
I'd just like to say that I do not.
You don't endorse my view.
Endorse Guy's views. This is everything he's about to say is his opinion. His opinion only. I, Harley Neville, am a devout Pastafarian.
But this church that is not a church, that subscribes to the belief of no beliefs, right? That's what they subscribe to. No beliefs. So how you're meant to write a thing of their core ethics is like, well, we don't believe in anything?
Well, it's not that they don't believe in anything, though. It's that they believe, people shouldn't oppress or hurt anybody under any circumstances. Keep your hands to yourself, essentially.
Yeah.
Don't force your beliefs on anybody else.
But that in itself is a belief, right? That set of principles is a set of beliefs.
Yeah, but it's not saying to force them on anybody else. It's saying if you want to
become a celebrant.
If you want to be a Pastafarian, don't force your shit on other people. Don't hurt anybody under any circumstances.
However, we must force our shit on you should you wish to be a celebrant in our name. It's hypocrisy at the highest level.
Well, look, I do think that it's kind of bullshit that within the church there's already politics of...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's quite a new church. There's already politics where people are not supporting other members of the church because they're not officially ordained as members of the church. When, that's who gives you the fucking power to decide who gets signed off on this? It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't the power originally bestowed that no one has any power and that we are all equals?
Well, it's definitely got a very loose church structure. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. It's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard.
Well, I'm very upset. But look, I think that probably brings us to the end of the show, unless you've got something.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, well, look, it's been great to catch up. We're sorry, guys, that we skipped out a couple of weeks there, but hope you stuck with us.
And so thanks if you've persevered, and thank you if you've been sort of like, where is the podcast, man? I really want to listen to that.
Neem Higgity, he did ask.
I appreciate that. And, to be honest, we've got some interesting things on the horizon that we can't announce quite yet with regards to the podcast. But we could be coming back bigger and harder than before.
So keep that in mind.
So keep an eye out for that.
All right, so look, thanks, guys. Please, for the love of God, go to facebook.com and find facebook.com/Guy and Harley. Hit like, watch all our shit. We'll post all the links from this episode in there, including the Patreon page. If you would like to contribute $1 per video,
or $5,
or whatever,
Nick, thank you.
Just remember that it's the money that you give is you only get charged when we release a new video, and it's up to a set amount per month. So if you only wanted to give us $3 a month total for 3 different videos, well, that's all it would cost you. So please go check it out, Patreon. I will share the link on Facebook, and we will put that money to good use.
But thank you to our 2 patrons,
Jeremy and Nick. You guys are fucking awesome.
So we'll see you next week, hopefully.
No, we will. We'll see you next week.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley Podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.